Hey, good morning everyone. Well, you probably see me on a camera. I am filming myself on the XDynamics Evolve right now, and this thing is a beast. All right, we're gonna go inside and take a close look at the XDynamics Evolve. Here we go. Hey, welcome to my channel. Well, today we're gonna take a look at the XDynamics Evolve drone. Not a lot of videos of it on YouTube, so it's about time somebody puts out a video and reviews it and gives it a real first impression video. So I'm one of those guys. If you subscribe to my channel, you'll see I fly every type of drone, and I really have no preference because there's portable drones, there's not so much portable drones, there's drones with good cameras, not so much good cameras, drones with sensors for obstacle avoidance and all these other things, and drones without, and they're all in different categories. So I'm probably a great guy to give my first impressions of any new drone on the market because I am not a fanboy of any. Now before I delve into the specs and show you the cool interface and the unboxing and all that other stuff that I do in videos, let me just say that this drone, out of my 6 years of flying drones, this is by far the coolest looking drone. And it's large in size, and the larger you get, the cooler it gets. How large is it? Well, let me show you a size comparison with other popular drones on the market. Check this out. On your left, the XDynamics Evolve, and on your right, the DJI Spark. And now the Parrot Anafi. And now the DJI Mavic Air. And now the Autel Evo. And now the DJI Mavic 2 Pro. And finally, the DJI Phantom 4 Pro. So yes, you can certainly see that the drone is rather large, but rather interesting looking. And what about the controller? This is the controller right here. This controller is probably the coolest piece of tech out of everything that you get with this drone. The drone's pretty cool, but this is by far cooler. The reason I say that is because if you look at the market right now, what do we have? We have these little toy controllers from DJI. You know, the little things for the Mavics? Those are actually toy controllers compared to what we use in RC radios. Check this out. This is what a real controller is. If I open it up here, I've got a 1000 nit crystal sky on the top, and I've got a 660 nit type of crystal sky on the bottom. I say crystal sky, but it's not. But it's like a high resolution screen on the bottom, touch, and high resolution on top. So you have two interfaces. And not only that, this thing here uses a 64-bit quad-core processor. Not your grandma's processor. And it's got a dedicated GPU with 4 gigs of RAM. So all the graphical stuff that it's doing is all processed separately, not on the same processor. So when you're flying, everything is super smooth. And speaking of that, you get a 1080p 60 frames per second feed all the way up to 1 mile. You know, that's kind of hard to compete with. Oh, and did I mention there's almost zero latency because of the technology? Yep. Now, I will say that since this is a first impressions video, the controller might be rather large for a lot of people out there. For a guy like me that's been flying drones for a long time, that's what we started with, big controllers like that. So when they come back in style and you get a lot of technology, I'm used to it. Here we have a size comparison of the XDynamics dual screen controller on the left compared to the Mavic 2 Pro or Mavic 2 Zoom controller on the right. And here we have the Phantom 4 Pro Plus controller on the right and the XDynamics Evolve controller on the left. Here you can see that the Evolve controller is almost similar in size to an RC controller. And an RC controller you would use for your RC planes, your FPV drones, your helicopters, boats, whatever. So you see this clamshell controller is a lot of tech. And the weird thing is if you go on the website for XDynamics, say you wanted to buy just this controller, say I dropped it and smashed it, just like any other controller with the displays, it's $1,000 US to replace. So you think $1,000 for this controller? Holy crap. But if you look at the DJI Smart Controller, that's like $649, I think, US for that, and it's not even half the quality or capability of this controller. And now before I get further into this video, let me just give you some of the basic specs. I'm not going to go too deep because this is just a first impressions video. You can look up the specs yourself, but carbon fiber body, yeah, how many drones have that? Well, let me see, pretty much none in the consumer market. Has these massive brushless motors and props. And when you crank this to go up in the air to rise, it goes quite forcefully, as well as coming down and moving forward. This thing can travel at almost 100 kilometers per hour. So yeah, that's kind of fast for a drone. Now the specs talk about the range with the controller and receiving 1080p video feedback from it. And they say you get about a mile range when you want to receive the 1080p video feed. So I'm not certain if that means if you fly farther, do you get like pixelated imagery? Does it become less? Can you fly further? I haven't tested that out, so I really don't know. I've only flown this 2 times, and I will say the flight time, there's a little percentage readout at the back on your battery. They say you get 21 minutes, and I flew it in the cold, and I got about 21 minutes, so they're pretty accurate. One thing I noticed with this drone, powering it on, it gets the GPS signal very fast. So it has GPS GLONASS and a few other things. I'll put it below. Now you probably want to know about the camera. The camera on here is a 4K camera. It does 4K 30. It's not as good in specs as like a Mavic 2 Pro camera, but yeah, it would compete with anything below the Mavic 2 Pro easily. It has a Sony sensor, so Sony sensors in any cameras that are made are usually the top notch, and it is a removable camera. You can get a choice between this camera and 2 other cameras. You just remove it. It's like an Inspire. You attach it and go from there. Yeah, they have the micro 4/3 camera, like on the Inspires with the different lenses and stuff like that. Pretty pricey, but you can get them. As well as the FLIR camera, if that's what you want. A lot of people want FLIR cameras these days. I'm not sure why, but they do, so it has them. Now, the batteries are rather massive, but the cool thing with these batteries is it takes an hour or under an hour to charge them up fully. At least that's been my experience. So if you want to get out and fly fast, they charge quite quickly. All right, next thing we're going to do is a quick unboxing, but don't skip over this. The reason I say that is because this drone is quite expensive compared to other consumer drones on the market. But why is it so expensive? Well, you're going to figure it out when you see this unboxing, because it just breathes and oozes quality everywhere. Check it out. And now for those of you thinking of buying this drone, well, let me show you what comes in the box. So this right here is the box, and I'm just going to plop it down. You'll see it's rather large. Let's look at what's inside it. Inside the box, you get this massive backpack, and it is quite strong. You could actually sit on it and you would be fine, but it is rather large. Check that out. This goes on your back, and this is how much room there is. Little pockets there. So let's flip it over, and let me spin that around. We're going to open it up. First thing you get inside is this thank you document, and it looks like it's thanking you from the team for purchasing this here drone. If you want to read what it says, just stop the video. Next, you get a quick start guide and a pre-flight checklist, and it is laminated. Once again, if you want to read this, just stop the video. Next, we have the drone itself, and it is larger than I thought it would be. I thought it would be about the size of a Phantom, but this is much larger than a DJI Phantom. We have the 2 batteries here blocking our exit of taking the drone out, so let's pull out these batteries and have a look at them. 2 massive 4-cell batteries, and they are 6700 milliamps each. Smart battery here, and it shows you what's the percentage remaining of power. So they ship with about 25% power, LiPo batteries. Next, we have the drone itself, the Evolve, and I'll pull that out. It is made of carbon fiber, and the camera is hanging off the bottom down here. I'll show you that closely in a second. And in the back, there's a piece of cardboard that tells you this is the battery compartment. And it's a nice carbon fiber body. The top is plastic. Looks like it's really well made. The motors, they look enormous. There you go. There you can see a close-up of the motor. These coils, copper coils, are all hand wound from what I understand. They do use a type of quick release prop system, which is much different than DJI. Matter of fact, these props, if you just put the prop on the motor and start the engines, they will lock into place automatically. Some nice branding here, a type of embossed branding on the legs themselves. The legs are plastic. Are they hollow? Yeah, the legs are hollow, but they do have a piece of plastic going on the inside. That's just to keep it light. And let's start at the back and see what we see. You can see inside the battery compartment. Down here's a venting system. This uses LiDAR, so it is a laser that shoots out of here, so you don't want to put your eyes looking straight into that or anybody else's. Might not be too good. It's sort of an optical flow system, but a much more sophisticated optical flow system. There you have a close look at the LiDAR and the optical flow. On the back you have a USB port, more branding again on the camera, the back of the camera, the X. On the motors you can see the huge LED lights. These are massive in size. Big soft rubber feet right here for landings. Now we're approaching the camera and the gimbal, so I'll pull off the cover. First thing I notice is I can actually spin this gimbal almost fully 360, but it stops there and it stops there. This gimbal is very cold, so that tells me it's made out of a metal. And we have a little light system down here. It's a quick remove gimbal. You can pop this off and put on a different camera. There is a micro SD card included. Let's see what size it is. Included is a 16 gig micro SD card. The camera moves 90 degrees down, full forward, and even up just slightly. We'll see how much it moves with the motor when it's operating. There's a piece of glass over the lens, and below it you can see that it says 94 degrees field of view. It's an f2.8, which is pretty standard. This outer portion rotates and comes off, so you can add filters if you wish. And moving up from the front, we see all the carbon fiber. Looks pretty cool. We have a little bit of branding there. It's a very nice looking drone, that's for sure. And it looks like it's very, very, very well made. Next, we'll take a quick look at the controller. It's quite large, and wow, that has some weight to it. It's like, this is a pretty heavy controller. Let's take a look at it up close. All right, taking a look at the bottom of the controller, we see we have a lock and an unlock for the battery. Yes, it actually has a removable battery, which is pretty sweet. You pull that out. Look at all the size of this. That's even bigger than the one on my laptop. So that's a large battery. What is it? 6,000 milliamps, 11.7 volts. Wow. So if you wanted 2 batteries, you'd have to get yourself another one, and you could just keep on flying for quite a long time. And look down here. I just noticed that. That's a spot for another micro SD card. Interesting. Back of the controller has really nice rubber right here. Very grippy for your hands. You have the C1 and C2 button, very large. You have the normal little handle, and that also sits on a table. And if we go over this way, we see they've put some words. These come off, these little pieces of plastic. So it tells you right here, that's your exposure control, your video record, your flight modes right here, your gimbal control, and shutter. Branding there with the X. Let's open that up so we can take a look at what's on the inside. On the inside we see it says return to home, and over on this side automatic takeoff, and back here hold to power on, and nothing back there. Your little fingers fit in here, they go underneath like that, and they hold, and then your thumbs fit right here. Now I'm a guy who flies every type of drone, so when I get a controller this large, it reminds me sort of the Phantom controller, the DJI one, but those joysticks are much higher and my hands would be slightly closer together. It does also remind me of my FPV drones with Spectrum controllers or Taranis controllers, and they seem similar, except the joysticks are a little smaller in size. But very easy to use, very easy feeling to them. Very nice that it's a dual screen, so it's like they gave you a cell phone here and they gave you a 7-inch tablet up here, and there's even a camera up there. Interesting place to put the lanyards, right here and right here. Over here I would assume that's a speaker. Now that I have the paper off, there's your 3 flight modes right there. Next item in the box would be the props. They are massively large and they come in this really cool holder, so you get 4 spares. So you have 4 on one side and 4 on the other. In the very bottom you have the charging system. You get the brick, plug it into the wall, and over here you have a splitter in the power system. One goes to your battery and the other one goes to your controller. Finally in the box we have 2 items back here that say pull out, pull out. So let's see what this is. All right, that's different. It's an actual pen, I think. Yeah, I think it's just, oh, it's a marker. Yep, it's a blue marker. And this one is a USB cable, micro USB cable. And now we're at the part where I'm gonna show you the interface to fly this drone. So I'm gonna show you it as quick as I can, really, really fast. Here we go. Check out the interface on this controller to fly the drone. Power on the drone. Power this on. All right, we're all set to begin. Up here you have a 1000 nit screen, which is extremely bright outside, same as a crystal sky. Just hit the begin. Really quickly, before you begin, the top will tell you the weather, and it actually tells you the drone status right here, ready to fly. It tells you the wind speed, what it's like outside, the time. And up here you get all your settings on your drone. Right now it says I have 8 satellites, which is pretty impressive because I am in the basement of my house. So that's amazing. All right, so down here on this screen is where you would get into your actual drone. On the bottom it says drone. Then you have albums of photos you've taken right here, and the last part would be the me, and that's just how many flights you've taken, your flight records, and all that good stuff. Also on the start screen you have more weather status if you want. There you go, you see all the weather here. You can see what it's going to be like today, tomorrow, and all the good stuff. And also on here you have your general settings for your controller. So it shows you right here, firmware version, date, time, LAN, Bluetooth, sounds, display brightness, all the good stuff. If there's a firmware update, you just click on firmware and it'll show you right here. And actually it's showing me right now, it looks like there's one for the drone right here. Yep, there's a bit of an update, so new version, and I will upgrade that later. Next, we hit the start here button to get right into our little flight, and it tells me right up above, it's ready to fly. And down here it tells you my GPS signal, my compass, accelerometer, everything's good to go, the battery temperature, the temperature of the drone, the percentage of all the batteries, how much memory is remaining, available memory on my card. And if I want, I can click up here, and this here will give me all the settings that you're used to in like a DJI drone, where you can set the drone, the controller, all the settings on it. The battery tells you the voltage, how many times it's been charged, the gimbal settings, and general settings for meters and imperial and all that other great stuff. So now at the bottom it says enter the drone, and this is your basic display down here. Up here is what the drone sees, and all your telemetry is up here. So you see it quite large, and on this screen, I'm just going to zoom into this. So this is your main screen when you're flying. It shows you your flight mode. Right now I'm in GPS filming mode, which means that it will fly nice and smooth, left to right, up and down, so that you can film nicely. Shows you your little speedometer, how fast you're flying, your distance. This will go out as the distance gets farther. You have your height and all your other good stuff. Here's your camera settings right here. And you have a map at the bottom which shows where you are right now. And as you move, this here map will move around and you'll see more. Right now my camera settings are in auto. If I want to go and change them, I just click on more, and there's my video settings, my picture settings, and you can change all your normal stuff. If anybody's wondering about your video, if I look here, right here it says you can do 4K 30. It does not do 4K 60, but it will do 1080p at 120 frames per second. You can code in H.264 or H.265, and styles you can have landscape, soft, or custom. Your white balance is your normal thing where you can adjust it for sunny, cloudy, everything. And if you set your settings on manual, then you can adjust everything for your ISO, your shutter speed, and all the other goodies. There is no micro SD card like a cell phone, so when you're flying, it has no way to get the maps through a cell tower. So what it allows you to do is right here, it says offline maps, and if you click on that, so to add an offline map for where you're going to go fly, say I was going to fly here at this little green area, I would just click on my screen, 2 points, it makes a square, and then I hit download, and it will download the maps for that area. You can also set up your social media, Facebook account and YouTube account, so that you can share whatever you capture to Facebook or YouTube. And that was a super quick overview of the interface. All right, congratulations to you for hanging on and watching the video right up to this point without skipping ahead. Here's what we're gonna do next. I'm gonna go and take this drone for a flight. Well, I already took it for a flight. I actually flew it 2 times this morning, and yeah, I had no problems. Well, actually I had one minor problem, which I'll tell you after you watch the flight. So this is 2 flights worth of video. I've chopped it up into little pieces and squished it into one short little segment, so you'll see me from the start to the end. Here we go. Let's see, battery's out. Put in the battery. I really like how the props go on here. I don't know if you can see with my little GoPro. Just put your prop on and then you spin this to lock. Power up my controller. Out at my snowy field, and if we go down here, I'm gonna look at my little display. You can see my reflection in there. Hang on a sec. But can you see over here? The temperature is 1 degree Celsius. Visibility is 15 kilometers, and I have a little bit of wind at 8 kilometers per hour. For satellites over here, it says I have 15 satellites, so that's pretty good. I don't know if you can see on my little screen down here, there's my map where I am. If I just zoom in, so I can see where I am in the field down here. Can you see that? I don't know. It's kind of hard. I can't see what my GoPro is seeing, but there I am. There's all my settings, and there's my display up there. I don't know if you can see that as well. I'll move this around. So I'm all set to go. Power the drone up, pull this, and to the right. Come on, motors. We're all good. And now we can go up in the air. See the pretty lights below? It is a pretty cool looking drone, but I won't say it's quiet. It's got some sound to it. I'll walk around so you can take a look at it. I should be in the picture. Today is the worst day to film because it's dull and overcast. So this thing, everything out here would look gray. And if I'm looking at myself, I kind of look gray out here, so can't really see much. So let's take this up. That's what it looks like up in the air. I'll move it forward. I'm just going slow. I'm going to start using the camera. I'm going to film this little playground down here. You can see the camera moves really slow as I move. So it's got really slow movements for filming, and that's what it's designed to do. I'm over in that little spot right here. It's not going to fly over and look down at me. I'll keep the camera on me. I'll just nice slow turns because that's what it's designed to do. This drone is basically designed for filming. So there we go. It's very easy to get over top with the camera looking down at me. Comes down quite fast. I'm going to take it along here. Go through these trees. How's that video look? Nice and smooth turns. Let's see how low I can get it to fly. Or is it going to want to land? So that's not too bad. You can fly low. Since it's using LiDAR on the bottom, I assume it's on. So it should stay at exactly that height no matter what. You can see the ground goes up a little bit there, so I'm going to take it forward. And over that ground, I'll see if it rises as well. It's supposed to stay at the same height with the LiDAR. And it does, yeah, it's going up. It's making sure it always stays that little 2 feet above the ground that I have it at. Yeah, it's perfect. So the LiDAR is excellent. If you're not familiar with LiDAR, all it does is it keeps the drone at exactly the same height as it's flying along. It shoots a laser at the ground and everything stays the same. Now I'm just going to play with the exposure on here. So you see me, there's the background. It's just a sea of gray here. So let me do this. Let me just change the exposure. I'm going to put it up. How's that? I've got it at exposure 1.7. Now on my screen, 1.7 looks pretty good. It might be overexposed, I can't tell. So I'm going to put it down to about 1.3. There we go, and I'll fly with 1.3 and see what that looks like. Right now it's in film mode, so if I spin it around, watch how slow it turns. This is film mode. That's full blast, spinning. So I've got the EV, the exposure up. How's it look now with the exposure setting up? I'll bring the camera down. I'm looking at that object down there. Looks really nice on my display, but my display is getting like a 1080p feed. That's the great thing about this drone. Now in film mode, that is full speed. I am on full speed right now in film mode. That's the fastest you'll get. Because once again, it's film mode, so it's not going to go very fast. So I'm going to send it out in the field over there. And just to show you the display, hopefully you can see it on here. See my little speedy thing and my little distance thingy? Now to land the Evolve, all you do is pull the joystick down and push it to the left. Watch. Going down, 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 touch, and to the left, and it shuts off. You get that green light, you're done. There you go. It says I have 10 minutes flight time left, and I've flown for just over 10 minutes. So that would be about right for the cold outer. So when you finish your flight, you can re-watch your video. It's on my screen there. I don't know if you can see it on the GoPro. It's just playing back the video. There's one button that says you want to review your flight, and you actually watch the video again on the big 7-inch display. Also, when you review your flight, it actually shows you the map on your screen. I don't know if you can see this on my GoPro. It's always hard. I can't see what my GoPro is pointing at. So you'll see the green and everything. That's where I'm standing right now. My fingers are cold. One thing I will say about the Evolve is it packages up really nice. Like I've got everything I need in there, and it comes in the nice little case. You could put this on your back if you're going for a hike. It looks bigger and heavier than it is, but it's really not that heavy. Like for everything that's in there. Oh, check that out. I've got the bottom all wet. That looks pretty cool, the X. It looks like some Marvel superhero thing. All right, so we're back inside. Final thoughts on the Evolve. Well, the first thing a lot of you are gonna say is, holy crap, is that ever expensive? To me, I said exactly the same thing when it first came on the market. I looked at the specs, and then I looked at what it did, and I looked at how much it costs, and I thought, ew, that's a lot of money for this drone. But you know, now that I have one right over here, and I've actually hands-on with the specs and the technology, and I flew it and touched it and looked at it and smelled it, gave it the sniff test, well, it's actually worth the money easy. Let me just put this in simple terms. If you bought yourself a Mavic 2 Pro, let's just round off everything and say it costs $1,500 US. Well, you don't get a display with that little tiny toy controller they send you, so you have to buy yourself a display. If you tried to buy the same as what you get with this, which is basically a phone display and a 7-inch crystal sky, it's going to cost you like $3,000 US. The same is true if you bought an Inspire, because this has removable cameras like the Inspire. So if you went with the Inspire, Well, the Inspire is massively expensive. When you buy a DJI Inspire, it does not come with a camera. You have to add the camera. So you're going up in the $4,000, $5,000 US dollar range. It's very expensive. So you see, when you put everything into perspective, if you're somebody who wants a sports car, a Ferrari, then you know, you want to pay the extra money. Certainly you can't put the family in this. You can't go get groceries with this. So if you want to go off-roading, put the family in there, groceries, then you're going to have to buy yourself a DJI drone, because DJI drones are like made for everybody. They do everything. Whereas this is more a single focus, and a purchase for this is more based on emotion than on just reading a bunch of specs on a sheet. Matter of fact, if there was a store that you could go to and you saw all the drones lined up that were really good consumer drones, and this was one of them, well, easily based on emotion, you would buy this drone. Now, I've only flown this 2 flights. I have not tried all the features, you know, the sport mode, the orbit mode, and all the other modes that come with it, and the non-GPS mode, and all those other good things. Haven't tried that, haven't tried range, haven't tried return to home, so I can't comment on those right now. Those will be future videos. The only thing I noticed so far that was a little wonky was the horizon. So my second flight out, my horizon sort of went wonky when I turned and rotated. First flight, no problem. Second flight, wonky horizon. I landed, powered it off, powered it back on, horizon went back to flat, and then I flew again. I don't know what's going on with that, very strange. And I looked at the settings on the actual interface, and there is no setting to actually calibrate the gimbal. There kind of is, but it's grayed out. So I'm going to contact XDynamics, find out what the answer is, and I'll post it below when I get the answer. You know, if you read the description, you'll see it. All right, so for now, I'll say thanks for watching this video. There are more videos to come on this drone, and as XDynamics adds more features to this drone, I'll do more videos. And if you want to check out the website for XDynamics, I've posted it below. You can take a link right to this drone and check it out. Thanks for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs up if you did, and there's much more to come in future videos. Take care.